the sound of the police in my hood.
What's up, y'all? And welcome back to the greatest show on YouTube, Three Black Heathen Show. And we have our special guest back in the house tonight, my man G Consciousness. And he will be basically having a debate or discussion with Nate this time, not me, about the basic argument is going to be the perfection of God. Is there perfection of God and so forth? So we're going to get off into that discussion later. But right now, we have a lot of other different topics we want to discuss, and and by the way, before we even go any further, and I hand this over to Drag about the other topics we want to be dealing with. I want to say, make sure, man, before this stream ends or whenever we end the show, make sure y'all hit the like button. Also, make sure you subscribe. If you haven't subscribed to the Three Black Heathen Show, please do so now, and please share our materials, share our videos. As a matter of fact, please share your thoughts with us on what you agree with, what you disagree with. We take it all. We love it all. That's what we like to do. First thing I want to mention, y'all, just on the strength, it kind of shocks me. Y'all know I love music and the music industry, but obviously Ashanti, and then I'm going to hand it over to you, Drag. Ashanti, man, she had a concert, my man, and they had to cancel the concert because she only sold 24 tickets. Like, is that over with for her or what? Is her career done? She sold 20 for Ashanti. Y'all know Ashanti, Murder Inc. She used to sell millions of like platinum selling artists.
That can't be right.
Yes, I'm telling you. No. This was not like in Idaho. This was in the beautiful, ugly city of Cleveland. You know, it's a lot of, come on now. Black people supposed to came out for that. And
24 tickets?
Dude, listen, you know, Drag, I like to check stuff over and over because that shit didn't sound right. So I checked my sources like 3-4 times. I vetted it. I actually vetted my sources. Every source I went to, Hip Hop Weekly, World Star, everybody said she sold 24 tickets and they had to cancel the show. So I like, that's worse than worse for your career, man. That's like terrible, man. 24 tickets.
That's like that's over. That's over. But you know what though? I don't know, because I don't think she would just sell 24 tickets up here in New York. I think she would get a little bit more love. You know what I'm saying?
But she's from New York.
Yeah.
She supposed to sell more than 24 tickets anywhere, man. Ashanti, like what's?
Was it only Ashanti? Because I don't know if I would go to just an Ashanti concert. Like, it's got to be Ashanti plus somebody. You know what I'm saying?
I wouldn't give a damn. I want to go see that booty because I want to eat that booty. I'm going to pay. I don't care. Me and Drag gonna be there in the front row seat. I don't care what you talk about.
I listen to it. Music. My wife, loves
I used to like Ashanti music.
I like Ashanti too.
But the reason I go to a concert would be to get, of course, get a good look at that. I'm gonna be honest too. But
we ain't worried about the sound. None of that. We ain't worried about that.
Bring headphones. Shit. No.
Yeah, we don't give a damn.
4 tickets though.
Man. I'm a fan of Ashanti. Shit, we got more people watching now than she had buy tickets to a whole show. That's crazy. We should just have us come on the show. Double up. So
it's safe to say we're bigger stars than Ashanti now. Oh, wow, that's terrible.
What would it be without you? I still remember those songs, man.
Man,
the
shit,
hell
man,
we
her and
can,
Ja Rule had a beautiful chemistry. They made good songs at Murder Inc. They did make good songs.
That's true.
yeah, that 50 had to kill him. 50 had to
Yeah,
put his
50,
silver
50,
pipe.
50 killed the whole. He killed the
Yeah.
whole movement. I'm sorry to say, but he killed the whole movement, man.
Oh man.
Oof,
I see psychopathias in the chat room messing with me about them stinking Redskins. They
Yo,
beating the Cowboys today. Wow, I see you hating.
yeah,
I see you hating, Psycho.
the Redskins made it happen, man.
Yeah, they did. They
Who
did
else
okay.
made it
It's
happen?
okay.
The
We
Saints.
play them twice. Yeah, the Saints did good.
We beat Baltimore. Beat
And you know,
Baltimore.
everybody was speaking against the Saints beating Baltimore in Baltimore, dude.
Wow.
I'm just saying, hey, that's my Saints. I'm gonna always represent.
Yeah, see, I'm a
Always gonna
Dolphins fan.
represent the food.
Oh, matter of fact, so this brings us in because today was actually pretty good in the NFL. But let's do this. Who's your top 5 players all time in the NFL? Top 5 players. Now
You want to go first, Greg? You want to go first, Greg?
Man, I ain't sat down and watched
Listen.
football in a hot minute, but I'm gonna tell you right now.
My top 5, that's easy.
Go ahead. Well, but hold on. Go ahead. I'll give you my top 5.
You talking about positions or just players,
No,
period?
like, here's my top 5. No matter what position. Number 1.
Okay,
The number
okay.
1 player that changes. All right. Number 5 on my list is my favorite quarterback, Dan Marino. Dan Marino's. I'm a Dolphin fan. If I was picking a team today, Dan Marino would be number 1. That's my guy. Dan Marino, even though he never won a chip, Dan Marino's my quarterback. I think he's one of the greatest players that ever lived. He's number 5 on my list. Number 4 would be Mike Singletary from the Bears. I think Mike Singletary was not only the catalyst of a defense, but that 85 Bears defense couldn't run without Mike Singletary in the middle. I think Mike Singletary is one of the greatest players of all time.
Okay.
Number 3, Tom Brady. I'm sorry. Number 3 is actually Joe Montana. I think Joe Montana is one of the greatest competitors and players of all time. No doubt about it.
Okay.
Clutch Joe Montana. I don't really even need to say any more about that. Number
Okay.
2 is obviously the guy who's been to 8 Super Bowls, won 5, lost 3. We're talking about Tom Brady, greatest quarterback to ever play football. If you deny that, then you just deny anything. Other than Dan Marino,
he's not. But I'm gonna let you finish.
He is the greatest quarterback ever to play the goddamn game.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
Tom
whatever.
Brady.
Okay,
I hate
finish
Tom
the
Brady,
list.
but that's him. And
Yeah,
number one on that list is the only man in the past 50 years to win MVP on NFL MVP on the defensive side of the ball. Rookie season, he was the defensive player of the year, defensive rookie of the year, and he's the only defensive player to win the NFL MVP in the last 40 years. It's Lawrence Taylor. Changed the game. He changed the way offense is played. He changed the way defense is played.
Yeah.
He changed the game fundamentally and has 2 championships and was the catalyst for those teams. Lawrence Taylor is the greatest player to ever live. That's my top 5.
Okay. Now Mike Singletary is not in my top 5. I got to put Ray Lewis in that top in his position. If I got to do that. So my top 5. Now number 1 is Lawrence Taylor for me. I agree with you on that. That's about it. But my number 5. I'm gonna do like this. I'm gonna go with number 1 to 5. Number 1 greatest player of all time is Lawrence Taylor. I go with that. Okay. Number 2 is the greatest quarterback to ever quarterback the game. He only got 1 chip, but he's the greatest quarterback, stats, motivation, everything. That's Aaron Rodgers. I don't care what you say. I can prove it through analytics and stats. Only thing you can say about that is he only has 1 ring and Tom Brady has 5. Aaron Rodgers is the greatest quarterback ever touched football. And I'm not even a Green Bay fan. I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan. I mean, he's better than any quarterback ever. Okay, Tom Brady is my number 3. I got to give it to Tom Brady. He is, but I got to give it to Tom Brady. And I can't. And I'm gonna tell you the reason why I'm justifying this. The reason I won't give it to Tom Brady over Aaron Rodgers is because Aaron Rodgers never had a system like Tom Brady or Joe Montana. You talk about Bill Walsh and Belichick. Aaron Rodgers, man, played with a bunch of garbage and he make it happen. Tom Brady don't do that. Every time we see Tom Brady, when he actually have a team on his back, he'll panic. Even though he won 5 out of 8, I mean you can't be mad at that. But Aaron Rodgers is much better. Drew Brees is almost just as good as Tom Brady, as far as I'm saying. Drew Brees never had a system like Belichick. Drew Brees probably would be just as good as Tom Brady if he would have been in the Belichick. New Orleans never really had a system that was good like that, like Belichick or like Bill Walsh. But anyway, so that's my number 3. My number 4, of course, is Emmitt Smith, Dallas Cowboys, number 4. And number 5, I have to give that to my man, even though he kind of snitched on some people and stuff. Baltimore Ravens, though, best linebacker ever, man. I got to get that to Ray Lewis. I mean, hands down.
Hold on, he's not the best linebacker ever. He's the best middle linebacker. Best linebacker is LT. No, you know.
Well, no, you know what? No. Okay, let me say this. LT was the best player all around, but I can't say he was killing people. He was breaking their arms and legs when he did that. But I think if we just put linebackers on linebackers, I think Ray Lewis was a little more of he was more of a ball seeker than only thing, my man, he just used to go straight at the quarterback. Ray Lewis actually tracked running backs down better than anybody ever seen. But all around, I got to give it to number 1 is my man, Lawrence Taylor. All around is LT. Because only reason I give it to him because the way he put the fear in quarterbacks. But he wasn't as athletic as Ray Lewis at all.
Man, I don't know.
He wasn't fast as Ray Lewis. I mean, he wasn't fast as Ray Lewis off the line. He on the ball. He wasn't as fast as Ray Lewis, and he couldn't run. LT couldn't run running backs down. Ray Lewis in his young days actually run running backs down.
Are you insane? I can show you a clip right now where he ran a running back down on the counter, and they were like, "That was crazy."
Sorry, running back.
He ran. What do you mean? It was like a first round draft pick rookie that they had.
Ray Lewis actually
ran him down on the back.
Ray Lewis was faster than LT though. I mean, everybody know that.
Let's just make this point. LT changed the linebacker position.
Oh yeah, I said that. I still say LT is the best.
Listen, and don't get me wrong. I respect Ray Lewis. If anybody deserves to be in my top 5, that's not Ray Lewis is one of those people who deserve. I agree with you.
Yeah, but you didn't have him in your top 5 though.
No, I don't. I don't have him in the top 5.
I don't understand it. I don't get how you grade.
He's number 6. He can't. Because I can't put him up in front of any of the people in front of him. But
how can you put Mike Singletary in front of Ray Lewis?
Mike Singletary, I think Mike Singletary was probably one of the
going on names.
middle linebacker ever. I think he is. Don't get me wrong. I think Ray Lewis is great.
Well, why do you think? I'm asking you a question. I'm asking you maybe it's a statistical question, but I'm asking you why. Even though we know Mike Singletary was awesome. But on what merits could you put him in front of Ray Lewis? On what merits? Period. Like, how can you put him in front of Ray Lewis at all?
Well, don't forget,
I understand LT.
We're talking about 2 Hall of Famers. Mike Singletary's a Hall of Fame. I'm not. It's not like this guy's some scrub that I'm just saying. Yo, this scrub is better. No. This is.
I put Reggie White in the top 5 before I put Mike Singletary.
You know what? I would give you that. The reason why I put Mike Singletary because he was the quarterback of that '85 Bears defense for those 3 or 4 years. He was the quarterback before Buddy Ryan left. That defense was the best defense that ever played the game, and he was their quarterback. And for those 3-4 seasons, I think he was the best player in football. But I agree with you. Right now, since you said Reggie White, I would have to put Reggie White in front of Mike Singletary. I would do.
I appreciate that.
That's where I would make a switch.
Okay, cool.
And I would even give you Ray Lewis. But
okay, cool.
When we're talking about just linebackers and defenses, number 1, the best defensive player to ever play the game. I don't care what anybody says.
Lawrence Taylor.
I give
you that.
And the way he changed the linebacker position. All who came behind him had to play linebacker like LT played linebacker. Most coaches would just put tapes of his clips. They're like, yo, do what he does. What that guy's doing, that's what I need you to do. If you can't do that, you're fired. And all these Khalil Max and all these people, all these edge rushers are just hybrids of my man LT because he changed the game so much. But we ain't even let Drag go his 5. What's your top 5, Drag?
That's easy, man. Easy. Drew Brees, and Drew Brees. No, so I'm gonna go old school. So for the first 2 old school, OJ, the Juice.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Joe Green. I grew up on them, so I have to put them there. Yeah, all right.
Those are good.
Drew Brees. Now y'all gonna disagree? Richard Sherman, Marshawn Lynch, number 1.
Ooh. Marshawn
Lynch.
You got him as the greatest football player?
In my books, yes. When he went beast mode, you needed at least for a running back, at least 2 men to catch, just 2.
You talking about
least. bare
hold
minimum
on.
to hold him.
You talking about him over Jim Brown, who's 5 yards to carry Jim Brown, and we talking about Marshawn Lynch over Barry Sanders, 100 yards a game average career. Barry Sanders, his average was 100 yards a game.
Yeah, as
over
far
Emmitt
as
Smith, over Emmitt Smith, over Barry Sanders, over Jim Brown, over. Hold up.
That's a
We're not
fan
even
right
done.
there. He's a fan.
Over Campbell,
He's a fan.
over.
I am a fan.
I mean, I actually love Beast Mode. That's my homeboy.
Oh yeah.
I loved his attitude. I love how he chopped reporters up and made them look stupid. But I can't put him over Jim Brown and
Yeah, I don't know how you get him over Jim Brown.
and Barry Sanders and no, I can't even put him over. I can't even put him over Sweet Pea, man.
Think about this with Jim Brown. The first two MFL MVPs went to Jim Brown because he was just Jim Brown. There was nobody else to give it to. He was that dominant.
Nate, let me ask you this, Nate. Would you put Marshawn Lynch over Walter Payton?
No. Come on, that's sacrilege right there.
No,
Okay.
Sacrilege. Even I know you couldn't do. No.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm just a fanboy.
We're gonna give you a chance to change your list then one day. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I was a little stretching with Mike Singletary, but he threw out.
I fully
Marshawn
admit
Lynch.
it's fanboy. That's why Drew Brees on that list. No,
But Drew Brees, you can make a case
I go
for
with Drew Brees.
Yeah,
I
Drew
go with
Brees,
Drew
you can make a
Brees. I go with
case.
Drew Brees.
I left him off my list, but Drew Brees, if you put him in the top 5,
You talking about a quarterback, man, that done had like 3 or 4, 5,000 year.
Yeah.
I mean 5,000 yards years. I mean that's awesome. That's that boy, that man.
I'm a fan of
Oh
Drew
yeah,
Brees.
he
Drew
is
Brees
a
no
Debbie
joke.
guy in Louisiana. They call him Breezes.
Breezes?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I know San Diego feels stupid about that when they did that trade. Oh wow. They thought they was getting a young boy. They said Drew Brees will hurt. He went to New Orleans and got a Super Bowl. That was terrible.
Yeah. Fuck it, that always messes them up. Where was that up? San Diego. Yeah, but they still got
San
a good
Diego.
back,
That's
though.
where he's at. Then your boy took his place, which is Phillip Rivers, which was a good quarterback, but he just can't win a Super Bowl.
Yo, tell me about this. What do you guys think about this lotto? $2 billion. Buy your tickets today. And if
I already have.
As soon as we go off air, I'm getting in the car. That's what I'm gonna tell you right now. I just as we were talking, my wife sent me a message on Facebook saying, "Hey, the lotto's at $2 billion. We need to get some tickets." I said, "Yeah, you damn right. We're gonna get some damn tickets."
But you know what we should have did, man? I think we slipped. You know what we should have did? And I think this is like one of the smartest things to do. We probably should have held like a live. We probably should have went live and got like everybody, all of our fans, at least maybe say like 50 of us to actually went in and buy tickets. That's what we should have did. Hell yeah, man, because just like, I mean, the probability math, everything is probability in math, man. And there's a probability of, you just one or two people just hitting this. That's what we should have did, man. We should have went in like 50 or 100 people. Everybody bought tickets and we split that money 100 ways, bro. Everybody's still rich for the rest of their life.
Yeah. That's $100 million. 100 ways. We still good.
Ways, 50 ways. We rich the rest of our life. That's what we should have did, man. But I wasn't thinking about it.
We did that at work back when I was in Louisiana. We sure enough did.
Yeah. I mean, that's the smartest technique, I think. Instead of everybody trying to be, I don't want to do nothing. I think people should get in lumps and actually just go at that shit.
But here's the question: if you won it straight up, $900 million, what would you do?
Change my name and move to Costa Rica.
Man, I'm gonna front. I'm gonna front like hell. I'm gonna stunt. I'm gonna buy 2 Bentleys. I'm gonna show up to my last job. I'm gonna actually play like I'm going to work. I'm gonna go in there. I'm gonna say, yeah, I'm coming to work for the day, man. And then they always have assignments, right? So we're gonna have like a work assignment. So the foreman gonna be like, hey man, y'all gonna finish that day? I'm gonna be like, fuck no, I'm rich, bitch. But I'm actually gonna show up for work. I'm gonna show up for work in my Bentley though. Yeah, I'm gonna show up for work in my Bentley.
Yeah,
I go into my job, man, and start flipping over tables, and piss on the floor.
But you don't want anybody to sue you though, man. You got to be careful. You don't want anybody to sue you. You know what I'm saying?
Hey man, please. Hey, man, what? Man, it'll be over with. That'll be life changing.
Listen, the first thing I'm gonna have to do though, if I was to hit it, was I got to give my wife a settlement. I got to say, hey, listen, you got to, 50% of this is yours, unless you can stick with the You know, I'm going to be doing crazy shit. You know, all the drugs, all
I'm
the
bringing
women.
bitches in here every night. If you put up with it or you leave now, cut your losses.
But here, you
know that's right.
got half the money. You got half the money. I love you
You
to
can
death,
have
babe.
half won't even hurt.
Yes, but I'm, you know, I've been living this poor life so long. I want to try to see how the rich life is right now. So
Yeah, the married, that won't go good with a married man. That won't go across.
I can't say my wife in the chat now. I just saw her. So what I'm gonna do is something real responsible that has nothing to do with cocaine or hookers at all. Don't say it to me. No, I am paying off bills.
I know that's right.
Loans. Oh, but no, for real, that's the first thing I do. No more student loans. I'm done with student
you know
loans.
what? I'm defaulting on them. I would default on them motherfuckers. Fuck it. Come after me. Fuck it. I ain't got the money.
Why not?
Yeah, that's true. You don't need credit. Just buy everything in cash. You could.
No, credit is some BS. You got money like that, but you can care about your FICO score for. It's gonna automatically go up when you put all that money in the bank.
Oh yeah.
I am the bank at that point.
Yeah.
the first bank of Nate.
Who the hell gives a damn about Equifax? I got $500 million.
I might buy
folks
Equifax, right? Go buy it. Like, how much are we selling
Equifax?
Equifax for nowadays? What you guys, $100 million? Let me get 2.
Let me go buy. Go pick it up on the way home.
That's right. All right. Yeah.
Man, I buy. You know what? I do some stupid shit. Like I'm gonna be honest. I do some stupid shit. Like what he do with the money? No, look, he went and he bought a house over here for his mama. He went over here in this damn town and bought all the Smoothie Kings. Why he bought a Smoothie King? So when he walked in any of them around town, he could get his shit for free. Yeah, I do some shit like that just so I can get some damn free smoothie.
You know what? I'm a big pet lover, and I like what Lucifer Almighty said in the chat. He said he would buy a dog shelter. And I probably would do that because I actually love dogs, and I hate the way some of these stupid people out here treat animals. So I would definitely do that. That'd be less than 1% of my money though.
Mm-hmm.
So I would probably open a couple of dog shelters, really.
Ain't too bad. Yeah.
I'm talking about a big extra. You know, I got the front those drag. I'm gonna buy an extravagant dog shelter, like with carpet, the AC, the big screen TVs where the dog can look at.
The dog gonna be living better than people.
Yeah. For the most part. Yeah.
Listen, if I hit, you guys will know because you'll see a live stream come up. It'll say, "Lottery, bitches." That'll be the headline. I just won the lottery, bitches.
No, that's right.
You don't need to subscribe no more. You don't need to subscribe.
Shit, you tune in to watch how I spend this money.
That's right.
That's all.
I'm gonna get in touch with Ashanti people too, though. I'm gonna pay for that. I'm gonna pay for some of that. I'm gonna get her a bigger. I'm gonna get her a concert. I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna promote a bigger concert. But I'm gonna break her off though. I'm gonna break her off.
Oh, you better with that much money. Shit.
Yeah, I'm gonna break her off.
No, but at that point, you could just, just like, how much do you need to keep this career going, girl? Because I know you struggle.
I like her mama too, though. Y'all seen Ashanti mama?
Well, no, actually, I'm about to look up right now. Go ahead and keep talking.
Damn, you're making us Google shit now. I haven't seen her.
Man, Ashanti mama was about just as fine as her.
No.
It don't matter, stepdaddy or son-in-law, whichever one. But it's going down. It's going down.
You know what? It's funny. This article is about the lottery, and people have what they call lotto mania, where they start fantasizing about winning the lottery and actually start spending their own money, thinking that they've already won. I don't know how people get sick.
That's the thing.
Yeah, it's a thing where people get this like lotto fever where they believe that they've already won. But it says this though.
That's worse than religion, man.
Do you guys believe that everybody has a price? What would be the price? What would be the price for you to do something that you would? Do you believe that there's a price in which everyone can be bought?
Bought and do stuff, or just buy
like for instance, I'm talking about like for instance, if someone right now was to offer me $100 million, I'd be a bitch for a month. That type of thing.
So they come in and poke you in the booty. However long they want to. $100
million, yeah.
$100 million.
$100 million. I would be doing it like a chicken. I'd be like, I'd be picking it like a chicken.
Are you gonna sell your soul, man, for $100 million?
Yes, you'd be like, yo, that cat Nate sold his soul, but he got $100 million. Yeah, $100 million is the right price. I don't know. I'm telling you, I'd be like a chicken on that shit. You'd be like going crazy. Like, this guy's crazy. I thought he was married. I'd be like, I am, but I go gay for
I got
pay.
bills.
That's right. $100 million. I got to take care of my family.
Man.
Yeah.
No. I mean, you know what? Everybody probably does have a certain price, but I mean, I guess it depends on what you're talking about making them do.
Yes,
You know
true.
what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't even say nothing because the U.S. government got me. All they said, oh, you get 4 years of free education and we're going to pay you too. Okay, yeah, you can have 4 years of my life and the rest of the good sleep I'm ever have and my body and my soul and whatever else y'all going to keep after I leave. So I've already made that deal. So y'all know my price.
So it ain't no big deal,
Listen,
right?
No.
100 million is, oh yeah, come on with it.
There's people who do a lot more for less. Like right now, there's a lot of security guards out there standing out there in the rain for $10 an hour. You know, they ain't making $100 million. You know, I have to put on a uniform and stand in the rain for 8 hours a day for 5 days a week. People do that stuff. You know what I'm saying? If I give you $100 million in one shot.
They have to. But you know what, man? This brings me to another topic. Even though this topic probably wasn't in our list, but you just made me think about this, Nate, when you talked about security guards making $10 an hour. I just want to let people know this is my prediction. I love watching Financial Channel. And it's the big prediction of a lot of financial people that don't want to just say it. But I'm telling y'all, man, honestly, and I didn't really want to bring up Trump today. We're not talking bad about Trump, nothing like that. People say, well, we all talk about Trump every week. But Trump, with all these tariffs he's been doing, man, like straight up, I don't know if y'all been paying attention to the tariffs he's been doing and all these things, how he's making these countries, with these different rules he's doing, and how Ford Motors, man, is the second biggest car manufacturer in the United States. Ford is about to cut a whole bunch of workers.
Why?
Why?
What?
Because they're losing money. They're losing money. They're losing a lot of money. They ain't did it yet. They ain't announced it. This is what I'm telling y'all. Call me Prophet Emperor Atheist. I'm telling y'all, it's a big major. It's probably gonna be worse in 2008. And I know y'all remember 2008, but I think we got a worse depression coming because of what Trump is doing, man, with these tariffs. And how China is probably finna tax the hell out of us because they can, man. It looks like our economy is doing good now, but it's really not. It looks like it's stable, but the only reason it's looking like that because Trump ain't been in office that long. And on what Obama did try to straighten up his aid it's still kind of at the end of that. But I'm telling you, with these tariffs, it's gonna backfire on us, and a lot of people are gonna lose jobs, all the way down to the smallest security guard, like you just mentioned, man. So I'm just telling people, man, to try to get your money up, save your money. Don't be blowing your money. Try to win. If you win this Mega Million, then just ignore this whole message. But I'm just because you don't care. But I'm just saying, if you don't win mega, millions, then I think a big depression is coming because of the moves that Trump is making now with these tariffs. It ain't looking good, and there's a lot of financial experts saying the same thing. So.
Well, most people
I'm not a financial expert. I'm not a financial expert at all.
Well, most people are saying one thing. A lot of people are saying is about the because the tax cuts have juiced the economy like steroids, more or less. And the problem is that deficits. Right now, the deficits that we have going on is huge. Right. The deficits have been blowing up because they just cut income. And
that's what I'm saying.
It was funny because they were showing that the gap they got in revenue, they got $113 billion less than they usually get because they cut the business taxes. And the now budget deficit grew by $150 billion. So they're saying that obviously there's a trend there. If you take in less money, then you're going to have to, the deficit's going to be higher because you're taking in less money. So,
right.
So do you guys think the tax cuts were a good thing?
I can't say offhand that it was automatically a bad thing because I'm not too sure what the intended effect was supposed to be. Because anytime I listen to these, I don't know what you want to call them, these statements or professions that Trump will make, they're always really vague, and his measure of success is never really what any economist would say that that sounds like this tactic would equal this effect. So it's really hard for me to make that statement just based on me trying to get in his headspace. But if he expects trickle down economics, well, I kind of think we already know where that fucking goes and how well that worked in the past.
I mean, like Drag just said, man, Trump like I said, man, this week is not not a go down on Trump week, but just keeping it real. Trump from the beginning, his platform, when we was watching, I mean, all of us was watching him. His particular plan for the presidency was always vague. He never said any. Well, only thing he said that was basically like a definite, he was going to build a wall. I mean, he told you he was going to do that. But his plan for taxes was never explained. Never. His healthcare plan was never explained. No one really knew, what his platform stood for. Only thing they knew he was making big jokes and talking crazy, and he wasn't a politician, and everybody was hyped. And, he tricked all these other people to vote for him. But, I mean, I don't know, man. I just feel like it's coming. You know what I mean? I ain't trying to scare nobody. But, hey, matter of fact, G-Con, man, I want you to chime in, man. You driving, man. Chime in on this, man. What you think about the economy right now, and what you think? What you think these tariffs? You think these tariffs and these tax cuts is hurting or what? What you think about
that? I don't know, man. Me personally, I think that because I'm an owner.
Oh, okay.
And so for me, I definitely think that when it comes to tax cuts, it's something that will work. But at the same time, if it's at the expense of somebody else, then I think that's because it's never really like that. You getting tax cuts, but at the same time, for those that are up under you, somebody got to pay somewhere down the line. So I think that overall, there's always something with it. But I think with those who are truck drivers, we experience a lot of, even though some of us, we make a lot of money, but at the same time, what happens is that, you have to have these write-offs, and then when you go to try to purchase something and you got that what your business revenue was for that year, and it doesn't really match up with what you really made, but you have to because you got these write-offs, so then you don't want to get audited. So it's all this stuff that you got to do. I don't think that it will help. Me personally, I don't think that it's going to help out my situation if it was tax cuts, because there's always something on the other side of that. So, man, I especially being black, in America, and I'm not just trying to really throw it out there, but at the same time, being a black man in America, man, it's a hard situation.
Exactly.
We got to work a little bit harder.
Well, that's true. So, I mean, Nate, I mean, you up there in the financial capital of the United States. I mean, what you hearing, man, as far as you ain't hearing nothing? You ain't hearing
I'm telling you what I heard from my guy. My guy is telling me we're in a bubble. He's saying the same thing you're saying right now. It's time to save. The same thing like the financial bubble back in 2008, the one that just ended, where you have a lot of people spending a lot of money. You have a lot of stuff blowing up. And, we're just right on the edge of that cliff. And he's just saying, whenever you have ups, you're going to have downs. And right now we have a big up. But the bigger the up, what do they say? The higher the climb on the mountain, the steeper the path. And right now we're looking at a real big drop. But again, nobody usually a lot of times too, when you're in a bubble, you don't know what's driving it. Like when we were in the housing bubble, most people didn't realize that it was the housing bubble that they were in a bubble. We just knew everything was going good until afterwards, and people started dissecting what was happening. Then you were saying, "Oh my God, this is the problem." And right now, I think the problem now is just honestly deficit spending, and I think the tariffs is going to do something too. So I think you're right in both fronts.
But you know what though? Like you said about the bubble we was in 2008, getting up the housing bubble. Actually, somebody did say something. The old federal chief, Alan Greenspan, did say this in the early 90s. He did say, "Look, man, these adjustable rate it's that stuff. Y'all looking good. Everybody buying these nice houses. Everybody smiling. They falling for this picket fence and this thing in America." He said this thing gonna crash, and Alan Greenspan was right.
He was.
And you got financial experts saying now that it's gonna get worse, and ain't nobody really listening, man. I mean, it's gonna be ugly.
But most people don't live with that type of money where they can save up 6 months or something like that just in case shit go wrong. So most people live month to month, paycheck to paycheck. In most cases. So if that's happening, then you're really interdependent on the economy working.
But you know what though? If you live in paycheck to paycheck, I think that bracket would be okay, because that particular bracket that's actually, like you saying right now, that bracket that's living paycheck to paycheck, the stuff that they buying and living on ain't gonna too much go up higher. It's the people who really think they got money, the so-called middle class. There ain't no such thing as a middle class. It's the people who think that they good, that they think that they doing better than this other class. Them the ones that are gonna get hurt, like the ones that got hurt in 2008. I think the probably the $10 an hour guys you were talking about, I think ain't too many of them living above their means right now. So even when it hit, man, they probably can coast on through it without. I think it's the other people who think they okay, who think they good, and they really not good. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but again,
that's what I think.
No,
it's the
you're
so-called
right.
people who think it's a middle class.
And it's funny because I think a lot of us who are living today, I mean, who are living in this economy, it looks good, but with all that glitters is not gold. You know what? The one other thing that we wanted to talk about too is what's going on with you and DD. I saw you had the video with DD. DD is like a madman, man. What happened today? Let the folks know what's going on.
DD, what, Drag had a video with DD?
You had a video with you was arguing with DD today.
Under one of his
I thought you were talking about the sister DD. Oh, you talking about Darth
Dawkins. What's it called? It's so Aaron something now.
He called himself Fred. I can't think.
Fred I got the name. Hold on.
Fred something. I don't know. Yeah.
He got some kind of alias. Yeah.
Fred something. Some guy that's already dead. That's the name he was using.
He used to use his real name. We already know what it is.
Like Iron Chair Two, them saying, man, this dude already dead, man. I'm like, Lucifer Almighty, like, man, he's a dead person you want to debate, y'all, like a dead person.
Fred Gwynn.
That's him, Fred Gwynn. Somebody's already dead. So when Lucifer Almighty told me that it was a dead person that wanted to debate me, it clicked. I said, oh, this is Darth. I said, this is Darwin. I said, okay, so I played along and talking. So I went on into their Discord. It was like 7 of them, and it was just fun. They asked me all these stupid regular questions. If you don't, like he's talking about he studied philosophy and all this same old crap. He said he's a philosopher, and he asked me the same stupid questions, rhetorical, circular question, and he asked me the same question 6 times.
Damn.
Well, you haven't answered my question. You haven't answered it. He asked me, well, you've been an atheist. Your worldview has been an atheist. Can you defend your worldview as atheism? I said, sure, guy. No problem. So he was like, well, why don't you think, he said, why, if you don't think the universe was caused by God, then give me a deductive argument of why you don't think the universe was caused by God. This was his question. And that was it. That was the only question he asked me. And I kept answering the question. Matter of fact, I answered the question. I should make a video on that because I answered this question like 6 different times in Christopher Hitchens style. So, I mean, I don't know what
He's
else
looking for a certain way. Like if you answer a question and it's not the way that he likes it, he wants you to say it a different way.
How do he like questions answered? Next time I'm going to do that.
He needs to latch on to certain things. So if you even allude to the fact that you might be making a circular argument, even if you don't make one, he'll assert that. So he's trying to find some iteration of your argument that he can attack. And so he'll just have you repeat it in hopes that, well, in your rephrasing, that it'll be a weaker form and he'll take the weakest iteration of it. That's the purpose of asking you over and over again.
Okay, so that's just so basically he's just some mental masturbation.
But, I mean, yeah, if you want to call it that, yeah, like it's nothing to it, because if you listen to the way that, because I think you and I were talking about this earlier when he engaged Alex Malpass, the guy who's a logistician, like makes logic his goddamn bread and butter. He's trying to find some way to do that to Alex Malpass, and he can't do it because each and every one of the iterations of Alex's argument are just as sound and as valid as the last one. And so Alex is
a sharp guy, man. Alex is a sharp guy.
Yeah, but yeah, shit like that doesn't work on him. But like if one of us are just trying to communicate our point to him, we might not place the correct phrasing, or might not use the correct term. And so that's the kind of thing that he lacked, because he has no interest in actually trying to figure out what people want. He's simply trying to shut the mouths of atheists. And that's actually a direct quote from him. So he gets mad when people there's actually like a website with the list of questions he won't answer because he knows he can't answer them. So when he gets in these conversations, people pull that up. That's a fucking
website.
There's a website. Let me find it. Actually, I think I got saved.
Just to be clear, Didi's argument is this: God exists because God exists. That is the
That's-
crux of his argument. If you ask him
Hold
why,
on, say that again, Nate. Say that again, Nate.
his
Say
argument
that again.
is God exists because God exists. That is,
Oh man, I don't know if I can do anything. I don't know if I can do anything with that. He got me. He got me.
That is the crux of the argument. And now, to defend that position of God exists for God exists, he defends it by a position of you have to give him something. You have to tell him what else must exist other than God. If you can't answer the question, who created the universe, or any type of gap that you can't answer, he just says God did it. And then when you ask him to justify how he knows that God did it because God said he did it. So his whole argument
you telling me he worse,
is God exists.
He worse than Satan Brugencake?
No, it's almost it's the same argument in the sense that it's God did it because God said he did it, or God did it because God did it. And
which one of you came into the chat today? Was that you or Drag?
No, I wasn't in the chat. But
one of y'all came into the chat.
But one thing that he also does too when he does the God did it because God did it thing, his whole justification for that is that he can make that inference to say God did it because you can't tell him it's not God. And that's why he tries to ask you the question, well, can you make a deductive argument to tell me who created the universe, or why God didn't create the universe? Because he's trying to say as long as it's possible, then God did it. And that's it. That's literally the argument.
So really it's precept. It's just a reverse precept argument.
Yeah, that's what it is. He's just it's literally as precept as you could possibly get. That's the same thing Satan
it's just another
does.
precept. That's all it is.
Yeah. And that's
so
why
I guess Go ahead.
No, I said that's why he wants to keep. That's why he's continually asking you questions for you to say I don't know, and then when you say I don't know, that's what he wanted to get you. But you kept saying I know, and here's my answer, and that's why he kept saying you're not answering my question because that's his recovery device. Well, you're not answering my question until you answer it the way he wants you to answer it.
Well,
he's
I
going to
did.
continue to say you're not answering my question.
Well, I actually did tell him I didn't know. When he asked, I told him, I said, well, no one knows. I said, we don't know actually how the universe came into being before the Big Bang. We know it had to be something, but we don't know what it was. So I did tell him that. So I don't know. But maybe I like, since I like trolls, I would actually like to get them again. I love trolls. I don't mind talking to trolls like that.
Oh, he's the ultimate troll.
Oh yeah, he'll come back.
No, he's not the ultimate troll. We missing our ultimate troll. Jesus is Lord. That's the ultimate troll.
I was talking to him earlier. This dude said that he doesn't identify as being black. He acknowledges that he is African American, but he doesn't identify as black. He identifies as Christian. And I'm paraphrasing. And I said,
the hell that got to do with each other?
He identifies as Christian only?
Yeah, and so I said, I don't meet too many self-hating black men, but thank you. I know where to go from that. Like, it's just, he's so.
The hell is he talking about?
He's trying to. He got some issues.
Why would he pick African American? But why would he say African American? And then
Well, he acknowledges that that's how he can technically be categorized. Like, technically I can be categorized as black, but I prefer people to call me Creole. Like this, who the fuck cares? Like, people know what. Like all of a sudden the label goes away or the category goes away because you choose not to call yourself. Okay, well that's right. Like my mother says, you a nigga today. So it doesn't matter what he in his.
So if he run up on a KKK camp somewhere, he gonna sit there and explain that to him. He gonna say, "Hey man, look, I'm not really black, dude. I'm really you might can say I'm African American, but I'm really a Christian."
Yeah, well he's gonna suck him off first.
Let him go. He okay. Let him go through. He all right. He can come to the meeting.
We got him.
He probably would want to go. He probably would go.
Yeah, he probably would be there. Man.
Oh, y'all hate liberals too? Oh, let's go. It's like
trying to pass out little Gideon hotel Bibles.
I love the Gideons though, man. I love the Bibles. I don't read.
Yeah, I like those little Bibles.
I like
the
little Bibles.
I like them.
Hold on, but now I have a surprise for you guys. I want you guys to listen to something because this is something that came out earlier this week. And I thought it'd be interesting for us to talk about. Now I know this is kind of throwing it out there on the side, but I want you guys to listen now. This is a radio show, so I want you guys to see.
Man,
I want you guys to hear this ad.
Yeah, I know what you're about to play.
Congressman French Hill and the Republicans in French Hill, Washington. Our Congressman French Hill and the Republicans know that it's dangerous to change the presumption of innocence to a presumption of guilt, especially for black men. If the Democrats can do that to a white justice of the Supreme Court with no evidence, no corroboration, and all of her witnesses, including her best friend, say it didn't happen, what will happen to our husbands, our fathers, or our sons when a white girl lies on them?
Girl, white Democrats will be lynching black folk again.
Honey, I've always told my son, don't be messing around with that. If you get caught, she will cry rape.
I'm voting to keep Congressman French Hill and the Republicans because we have to protect our men and boys. We can't afford to let white Democrats take us back to bad old days of race verdicts, life sentences, and lynchings when a white girl screams rape.
Paid for by Black Americans for the President's Agenda. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
And the radio ad supporting Representative.
Damn.
Yeah, so I had that on my Facebook a few days ago. So evidently, French himself, the congressman, French Hill, he has denounced that. They did not run that by him. He did not endorse that, and he actually took to social media to say that is
right.
Yeah, that's supposedly that's what happened. So even he knew that these people doing this on their own volition was not. Now I'm a little skeptical that he, so I'll give him benefit of doubt. I get him benefit because usually at the end of it says this ad is endorsed by or paid for by yada 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 yada. And,
Blacks for what is it? Blacks for Trump or something like that?
Yeah, Blacks for the President's Agenda. I actually went to the website and looked them up, and so they're pretty much a black fucking puppet for whatever Trump wants to say.
Candace Owens in them. It's Candace
I wasn't
Owens.
impressed by anything that they had to say, really. But it's so sad that like they had to put up the sassy black women trope in order to put forth, like they could have easily mentioned Emmett Till and had and I don't know, talk like regular fucking people and not do that shit. Like, I mean, that's fucking insulting. Like, I don't understand. Like, who do they think they're trying to reach with that shit? That's not going to
listen, drag. It's the same thing. What's them two black bed witches?
Diamond and Silk.
Yeah, the ignorant dodo birds. It's the same thing. But you know what though? It goes on both sides of the party. Trump just do it straight up. He loved Kanye. That's why he made the Kanye meeting. So he know that schizophrenic dude was gonna say something stupid and demeaning. He knew that. He knew that, man. He had all those cameras in there. Kanye West. I mean, you gonna make that meeting that important? So he knew what he was doing, man. Donald Trump ain't all the way done. You know what I mean? But I mean, your girl, we just talked about this last week or the week before last. Hillary Clinton did the same thing when she was trying to get more black voters with the hot sauce. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah.
You might as well brought some watermelon and chicken. You might as well if you're gonna play yourself, because you just got an L for that Hillary Clinton. You took an L for that one. You're gonna play yourself. She might as well did the whole thing. Just brought the watermelon and the chicken. Just played on all the stereotypes. So I mean, people still doing this in 2018. I get it. I mean, it's bad, but it's funny to me. I like it.
Yo,
It gives us stuff to talk about.
G-Con, what do you think about that ad, man?
G-Con don't like that shit.
I know he don't like it. I was asking how you feel about it.
Hey, you know what? I'm gonna be honest with y'all, man. I was kind of doing something else, getting parked here, so I'm parked now.
He didn't even listen to it.
I'm sorry,
probably
man.
best he ain't hear that.
Nah, I didn't hear finally what y'all. Yeah, because I was trying to get parked, man. Trying to find some parking at this time at night. It's scary.
Oh shit!
No,
Where you at?
I'm in right now. I'm in Arkansas right now. Finna get ready to cross over to Memphis. About some miles.
We just talking about old Hillary. That's your homegirl right now, man.
That's right. She might have some hot sauce. If you need some hot sauce and you see out there, just ask her. Be like, yo, can you go into the purse? I need a little couple of drops right now.
Oh yeah, I got him right here next to Bill's condoms. Just hold on for a second.
That's right. Oh my God. Yo, and it's funny because it's funny. A lot of people don't realize this. Bill Clinton was Trump before Trump, though. Bill Clinton was the one, he sexted interns in the White. Trump would be doing that, but Trump is just on, everybody's just watching Trump too heavy. But Bill Clinton was Trump before Trump. So.
Oh shit!
No, you know what? I don't want to sound like I'm defending Trump here, but I honestly don't think Trump would be doing what Bill would be doing in the White House as far as the sex thing. Trump is more of He's more. We know he did a thing with the strip and all that, but I don't think he would actually be dumb enough to do that in the White House like Bill did. I think Bill just actually thought he was just that cool with the American public. He could just do what he wants. Bill was kind of stupid, to a certain degree. I think Trump is more business minded, and I just don't think I don't see Trump. I've never heard of Trump like making business deals and doing something with the women or trying to have sex with the women. I've heard of him doing sexual harassment outside of business deals, but I don't think he would actually do the White House like that. I think that was just some Bill Clinton shit.
He won't be grabbing him by the pussy. He's not going to be grabbing him by the pussy.
I don't think he'll do that in the White House. No.
He separates business from pleasure. You got to respect that.
I think Trump would just do stuff like that on the golf course. He wouldn't do it in his place of business because I never heard anybody say he did something like that in his place of business.
Well, let's not forget you got the 14 women who said that he did it. Remember the 14 women that came forward and saying, a couple from the show, a couple from the businesses. They have come forward. That. He got 14 of them.
I do remember that.
He got more women coming forward than I know in my life. Saying that
they all do it, man. He probably slide that hairpiece off and get busy. They all do it, man. Some type of way they try to hide it, you know what I'm saying? But he put that hairpiece on the dresser. Right.
Hell no.
Hey, Bill Clinton was going to deny it until she pulled out the blue dress. He's about to say, "No, that ain't me."
I know he was like, "This bitch really kept that nut on that damn dress."
Man, that was a setup, man. If for anything, that was the best setup ever, man.
Yeah, she probably fucking. You like, just throw it on my face, Bill. Don't worry about it. I'll go watch the dress.
Sex. He said I didn't count oral sex. That was so boy. He went out bad.
But the thing is that.
I said what Juicy J said. Basic. If the bitch don't swallow, she basic. Just saying.
Right.
That's what Juicy J say.
You know she became famous. That's when you got the real power when a girl can suck your dick and become famous, right? Like, go ahead.
But like, it's the president though. Like, she'll say no. Like, no,
career.
Mr. President, I can't suck your dick. No. Like, who's gonna really?
You giving up a career, girl. You giving up book deals. You giving up. You take care of this, and you got years of life that you can live off of this. She's making a lot. She made a lot of money off of that. Even though I think at the end it was, it was what it was.
Meanwhile, girls down the street sucking dick for Happy Meals and shit, man.
Yeah. Well, listen. So let's move to the main topic because damn, we're already an hour in. All right, hey G-Con, you there? You settled in?
Yep.
We're gonna moderate this drag.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna moderate drag.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, this is just one topic. This is just the next topic. So what we're talking about is that generally there's an argument that I've been putting around on the interwebs, and it's called the argument against perfection. And what it is that my understanding of God's perfection goes like this: God is perfect in every single way. That means the word perfect, when it applies to God, that means God is perfect in every way. So then when Christians start talking about God's perfection and how God is perfect in every way, I started asking questions about, some of the exports of God. What are some things that he's done that have been perfect? Because I would suspect a perfect being would do everything perfect. But when you start reading the Bible, it seems to have a problem. For instance, man is imperfect. God created man, and every man is not perfect. God created the world is not perfect. God created angels, and angels are fallen. They're fallen angels, so they're not perfect. So, matter of fact, everything that this God has ever created has been flawed. This God has not created a perfect anything. Now, with that said, since everything this God has created has been perfect, then how are we justifying the claim of God's perfection? It's like, and I use this analogy all the time, me saying that I have the perfect baker or the perfect cook, and the only thing they do is cook bad food. And then when you go say, well, how are you saying this guy's the perfect cook? Because all the food that he's ever cooked in his entire career has been bad. And you say, no, just believe me. So that's my understanding. And the Bible verse that we were looking at, what verse was that again, Drag? It was...
That verse is in Matthew 5:48. It says, "You therefore must be perfect, as your heavenly Father is perfect." And the word there, I wouldn't look this up. The word is Shemlin. There's too many consonants next to each other.
Yeah.
Shalem. How you say it? Yep.
Shemin.
Shemim. So
Yeah.
it's a verb, and it's referred to as a strong verb, and it means a whole or complete. So it does refer to the same type of perfect, as in all around perfect, as we're asserting here. And so, if you're wondering, I'm on what is this book? A step-by-step guide to modern Hebrew.
So the question is that whether the claim of God's perfection can be justified in any rational way, or is it just a claim that can be dismissed without evidence? So go ahead, G-Con, because I know you probably have a lot want to respond. You have a lot to respond to.
All right, cool. Well, in order for us to really know about God, and we would have to know that we would have to go by the narrative of what we see in the Bible, as far as, if you're making a disclaimer about God. And so we will go to the narrative. And so when you look at Genesis 1, we look at the perfection of God when we say that God said everything is good. Like, he said good like 6 times. God saw that it was good. God saw that it was good. So 6 times he said that. And the 7th day he ceased from his work. Well, when we look at the very next chapter, we can kind of see where things actually go wrong at. And I think that it's with free moral agents, or with the choices that they have made, that affects their surroundings just as well. And so man is put in he's in the they call it the golem material, far as material. He's the essence of him is put in a vessel. And Kemet, they call it the ha, which is the body. And so the essence of that man is in the vessel. And so when we look at it, you have God molding and fashioning man from what we see the material world. Into the material world. But what is immaterial of him is the essence, or the spirit man, which is attached to the soul, just put in a body, which is called the Ba when we look at it in Kemet. So these are not just biblical things; these are also things that we see far as in the pyramid text, and also in Kemet in Africa, the Nile Valley civilization. And so when we look at it, the perfection of God is something that we see that's in the Bible, and where it goes wrong at is with God making what we call polarities, or something opposite of himself, that has free moral agency, and he gives them administration. He tells them, he makes them ministers, and gives them administration, in which we call a dispensation in the Bible. And so man is given something to be steward over something. And when you look at the word firmament, it's rakia. It means to expand or to extend. So God extends himself, or he extends his lofty place, which is Shemayim, which means heaven. And so that means a lofty abode. So God is extending his family, or expansion. We kind of see this when it comes to human beings, in a sense, because we want to bring forth after our kind, and what we share, and what happens when we do bring forth after our kind. And so there is a distinction there, even though genetically, in that child, each individual is in that child, but we see also that that child is distinct itself. And so each individual are distinct parties, but at the same time, they have personhood. And so we feel a certain type of way, we act a certain type of way. And so when we look at it, it's really in a choice of man's choices. And so man's choices also affect his material world. And that's very important, because that's actually what the scripture says. It says that he was created material. So therefore, how he conduct himself in the material world, or how he ministered to the affairs, it would affect also, that world just as well. He is an immaterial being, and he is also a material being. And so once he is not connected to the very source, then he has no guidance. Then he himself begins to manifest in his material world. So I think that it's not the perfection of God that should be in question. It's really what we see in man and his choices that he's made, and also beings in general, that causes their very worlds to be affected eventually. So when we look at what Christ has done, which is the word of God that came into the material world, the word was made flesh. He comes to get rid of what we see, the curses, but first it's a spiritual mindset that we have to get together first, before he brings a physical manifestation of that. And where it says there is a new heaven or a new earth, because man themselves and also beings that we say free moral agents had to be with the plan. If not, there will be a lot of chaos. So even though God made man, he made man free. That's why he always says life or death, choose life or death. So there's many possibilities, and that is the nature of reality that we see in life. And so God knows that there is a web of possibilities, and God has anticipated those possibilities. And so he says, what man builds a house? What man builds a house that does not, make sure that it's stable and don't count the cost? So God counted the cost, something like a contingency plan, to where whatever came about, that ultimately that he will have control of it because he has anticipated it. And God's intelligence doesn't spread thin. It actually, infinite intelligence, to where we always trying to figure out how we're going to do certain things. God's intelligence has anticipated that since all eternity. So therefore, even though there's a web of possibilities, he's able to deal with those things accordingly. And as we see, different altercations and different things that arises and different possibilities, different routes that we might take, like a chessboard. God has anticipated that what you can move on that board. You might take this way, you might take that way, but for the most part he's going to win on that board, because he plays the game better. He knows, he has anticipated what move you're going to make. A good chess player, he plays 30 moves ahead. And so with God, his intelligence is infinite, so it spreads and it's not thin. Our intelligence is finite. So I think that for the most part, it's not that it's whether if it's in Kemet, the theology of that, or the theology of the Bible, you still are being tested, or there's a dispensation that things must be worked in you and worked out of you so you can transition to the next level. I can't hear you. Your mic is muted. It seems like.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes, I hear you.
I'm trying to understand the lead in to the ultimate question of God's perfection, and you I think you explained quite eloquently about some of the things that you would point to, and you said, well, the question wouldn't be really about God's perfection, but it's really about the relationship of man with God, and you were explaining how man is a fallen creature, and I think that leads right into the argument in the sense that, if I were to ask you to name something that God created that was perfect in every way, it would be a rhetorical question, because the Bible says God has never created anything perfect. Everything God's created has been imperfect, and even to the point.
You said the Bible said. Can you point that out, please, where it says that in the Bible?
Well, the Bible, the man, the world. It says the world.
Right, you said the Bible said, though. Can you point it out?
Oh, where the Bible says that it's a fallen world. Hold on.
God has never created nothing perfect, because that's what you said. You said the Bible says.
Well, what I'm saying, let me just be clear. The Bible points out that the world is not perfect, right? It points out that every man is not perfect. The Bible doesn't point out anything that the God has created that has been perfect. That's what I'm saying. So I don't know if I don't believe that's in there. The Bible I don't think the Bible has said that God's created something that's perfect. Maybe it does.
Right. Well, actually, the Bible actually said that it was good 6 times. And so if it said that it was good, then we see where in the narrative does it go bad. And it seems like it goes bad in the 3rd chapter of Genesis, when man begins to do something that is not following instructions.
Exactly.
And causes it.
So it was, exactly. No, I agree with you. It went bad. So, but if I make that concession that it went bad, the fact that it went bad means that it wasn't perfect, right?
Well, not really. The fact that it went bad is because of choice. Like, for instance, if I set up something good for you, and you were my son,
okay,
and I said I gave you some good things, and I says, hey, look, you're a free moral agent. You can actually make a good choice, or you can make a bad choice. If you make a bad choice, does that mean that it was my fault because you made that bad choice, or do you take self-responsibility for your actions?
All right, but now let me just fix the analogy. Let's say in this analogy, you control all the phenomenon. You control the surroundings. You control everyone else's actions. You control the playing field. Everything that happens in that scenario, you control. And you tell me I have a choice. But you already know, number one, what I'm going to choose and what's going to be the outcome. So I would even challenge the fact that I actually have a choice. But even granting that I do have a choice, if you're telling me that this being, everything this being creates is perfect, then that choice that I make is supposed to be as a consequence of this perfect being. I'm supposed to be making choices based on this being's perfection. And right now we're at the point where just to even dumb it down, just to even bring it back from getting too complicated. If something is perfect, if a perfect being creates something and then regrets they created it, wouldn't that indict any claim of perfection? Because if it was perfect, then it was, if I was a perfect being and I created something and whatever I create is perfect, then there should be no reason for me to regret creating it because it's perfect. Is that would that be fair?
Well, not actually, because you got to look at it like you said. You stated as far as the choice. It's not. Even number one is I didn't cause you to make the choice that you made, and so really, to be honest, it's just like if I'm talking to my child, I didn't cause you to make that choice. You did that out of your own self will because I gave you the choice and gave you the option, and so you had what we call so good beginnings. I gave you the option. I only told you to be obedient. You made that choice. And so I think it comes to man taking self-responsibility for their actions and not really trying to play the blame game and blame somebody else, because that would be unacceptable as me being a parent with my child. I wouldn't allow him to do that because I gave you the option. You made that choice and decision, and now you got to lay in that, and now you don't want to take self-responsibility for your actions. And so even when you talk about what he regretted, well, even though God sighed and he repented of that, that is because God never desired to really do what he wanted to do with that world due to the he didn't desire that. But if they made those choices, then if God is someone that is all loving and he has to make sure moral agents are lining up and following instructions, if I'm a protector, if I can't protect people that's in this party, to where the party can go right, then I wouldn't be no good provider. I wouldn't understand providence. And so, you can't say that all of this is really, when you look at the narrative of the Bible, is really man's choice and decision. God didn't cause anything. You made that choice and decision. You could have chose life. Why did you choose death? Because you was free to do so. When you say a person is free to do so, he has that option. And so when you look at it, God gives men the freedom, but just because he give you the freedom doesn't mean that, you should choose the way opposite of what is good. And that's always the role with man. That's always the role in life. That's life. Whatever choice that you made in your life, you chose that. Whether if you was put in bad circumstances, nobody told you to go out there and start stealing or do that. You chose to do that. So just because you put in that situation, should you succumb to that evil? No, you shouldn't succumb to that evil. You should choose the right thing, because when you choose the right thing, that will help out you and help out others around you. If you choose the wrong thing, then other people, not only will it affect you, but it also affect other people. So it affects your very material world. So how you think affects your material world.
So, I just want to bring it back to the original question, which was, if I'm a perfect being, I'm perfect in every way, and I create something, and I regret creating it, wouldn't that mean that it wasn't perfect? Because if it was perfect, there would be no reason to regret. And that's just a simple premise. If I'm a perfect being and I create something, and then I regret creating it, that means it wasn't perfect. Because if it was perfect, then I wouldn't regret creating it.
No, you kind of missing the point.
Can I chime in just one time?
Go ahead.
Just for a clarification between what y'all question, so y'all want to just keep going back and forth. I think basically what he asked G-Con, I think what Nate is saying, and maybe Nate can correct me. He's saying this is perfect being, that you believe God is perfect. And he makes these beings that, as you alluded to, are perfect in the beginning. But then you keep using the term choice, and you're saying choice, but if they make an imperfect choice, then that means they're imperfect. And I bet it's what Nate's saying. In other words, it doesn't matter about the choice. if they perfect beings, they should make perfect choices. I guess that's what natives.
Yeah, that. It seems to follow that if they were perfect,
yeah.
that because it's hard to say they were created perfect, but then they had this major flaw. Then that they couldn't have been created perfect then because they had the flaw. It's a contradiction. And on top of that, Genesis 6:6, where God repented for making man, if he creates this perfect thing, then why would he have to regret creating it because it was perfect? So that's the deduction that I'm trying to fluster out. You may be right. This God may be perfect, but on this evidence, it seems like he's kind of objectively not perfect, just based on evidence. Even if what you're saying is correct, I will grant the choice. I will grant that people make free choices, but I don't think that affects the argument in the way I
Right, but here's the thing: like that would be the case if you was talking about an android or something like that. If God is creating android, now if God creates you, He has already determined you can do good and evil. He said it right there. He says, "Choose life or death." So really, in reality, what He's showing you is that bodily, everything about you, you had everything in it was good. He showed that it was good. Now, if a person is created good and a person is a person, we see that he himself, if he lowers himself to a standard to where it causes him to go beyond that perfection, then that's his choice. But he was given a layout, and because he was given a layout, maybe he should have followed the manual. Maybe that would have helped him out, better. But I don't think that that's the case. And so I don't think the fault is on God. I think that for the most part it's just like us. We want to create what we call a being, or what would I say, AI, and that AI we want it to have, to make choices like a man do. We want it to make choices, and so when we wanted to make choices, we wouldn't want this thing to act up against us and start trying to control us like what I'm saying, like Terminator 2 or something like that. We want this thing to act right. And so this is what we see with God, except what God is doing is God is giving man the choice, free will. So he can choose good or he can choose, choose to do evil. So I think that's the whole thing. It's not about it's about God giving them a great atmosphere, giving them everything good, everything, but He only requires from them to be obedient. And I think that's very important. So I think that we could play the blame game all day long, but God didn't cause you to do that. You did that yourself. Why didn't you choose the good thing? So I think that it's, you keep pointing back to the imperfections of man. But the reason why there's imperfections of man is because it's by choice. Well, it's not because.
Well, but that would only work for man. That wouldn't work for the fallen world, right? The world we have a fallen world. So who made the choice what about for the angels too? Like even your rebuttal or retort is fixated on man's bad choices. But man isn't the only imperfect thing that God's created. The world, for instance, is fallen. Angels, 1/3 of the angels fell. They were imperfect too. So
right.
How would then this logic resolve those issues and the other imperfections that God's created?
Okay, when you look at Ezekiel 28, it talks about a cherubim there. And it says the cherubim was perfect in his ways till iniquity was found in him. In other words, angels had choices just as well as men. So one of the things that Christ quotes is when he says, "You are of your father the devil." It says he abode not in the truth. So in other words, the truth was always there. Whether he chose to abide in that truth is his choice. And so when we look at Adam, it's the same thing. God told Adam the truth. Adam chose not to abide in that truth. And so he did the same thing. So when we look at it, it lies in the choice of man. So I think that over the course of time, we have to look at it and say, it's really about the imperfections that we see that's in man, that he chose what he chose to. He chose to be what he is. That's what causes him to be what he is. It's not really about the God. It's about what man chose to be imperfect. He chose to be like that. He could have been to where he could have chose the tree of life, where he could have been, better than what he was. But he chose to be, he makes that option himself, it seems like.
Well, hold on. Just because it seems like we want to
You
go with
want
this
to get
choice
your
piece. But just to go back to this piece, if God, I'm assuming we're talking about an omnipotent God and a God who could see the future and all that stuff. So let's just go right to the beginning. Before God made anything, God knew, before, for instance, I was created, God knew what I was going to do, how I was going to do it, that I was going to not believe in God. Like, he knew all this stuff, right? Before, hundreds of years before I was even born, he knew I would be here right now talking to you on this stream, telling you that I don't believe in God. God knew. He knows about what I'm going to do going forward in the world. He knew what Adam was going to do before he created him, right? He knew everything. He knew what was going to happen. Now you're trying to divorce God from the consequences of the actions that he knew were going to happen. God knew Adam was going to eat that tree. God knew children were going to fall. God knew all this stuff. It's not like he didn't know this stuff was going to happen. He knew. And yet, he's the one, after he created him, who said, this person is perfect with a flaw. And then that flaw manifested that God knew was going to happen. God knew he was going to flaw and he was going to be, God knew that these people are going to choose, as you're saying, imperfection. So my question again to you is that based on what you're saying, it seems like you're saying God has, you're conceding the point that everything God has created is imperfect. And if you're conceding that point, then how are you justifying the claim that God is perfect? Even if I concede the choice. I concede the
imperfection.
choice.
The imperfection comes from man's choices. In other words, this is what I'm saying. Like when you say God anticipated, he knew that it was possible. This is why when you look at it and you look at the whole situation, there was a contingency plan. In other words, what does that mean? That means that you see that there's a calculated risk there. In other words, we know that God has accounted for if he take this way. And so when it says death came into the world by Adam and it passed upon all men, well, that was because of the choice of man. That was because of the choice of Adam. And so death passed upon all men. So what we see once again, if there's imperfections that you see that's in the man, not it's because of his choice. It's not because of God's choice. It's because of his choice. And so that's what I'm trying to show you guys, that when you look at the narrative, God has said it in there, even when dealing with the angels. When you go before time, it's his choice. He causes the war that we see. The beings cause the war that you see of the third of the angels in the heavens, to where we see things are destroyed in the universe now, in a certain part of the realm of where the third of angels was at, where we see that things are not populated due to the fact of these angels, doing what they doing according to the narrative. So it's the being's choices once again. And so when you say the cherubim was perfect in his ways, well, where did he become unperfect? Well, it tells you what happens when you choose not to obey and walk another way. That's your choice and your decision. So I can't blame the creator for you doing what you're doing, because I made you decent, I made you right, but you had the option to choose and you chose something otherwise.
I'm not, and maybe this just might just be the nail in the coffin, because I'm still not understanding. I've said it multiple times. Maybe I'll try it this way. I'm conceding choice. I'm conceding men choose to do bad things. I'm conceding that point. You are correct. I agree. Man, the choice. Yes, we've made bad choices, but even outside of man, understanding the whole body of work. You have this painter, this God, this ultimate creator who's created everything and knows all the possible outcomes, creates this being, calls him perfect, says that this is my perfect work, and then 10 minutes later, he says it's not perfect anymore. Oh no, it's the being's fault it messed up. I created it perfect, but it did all this imperfect stuff. It's like, Ford making a car, rolling off the lot, claiming the car is perfect, and when the car blows up, they say no, it's the guy he made the choice when he drove it, and that choice.
You kind of can't use that analogy like that, because you're talking about that's a bad analogy, because what you're doing is you try to put the man in it, but then you put the car in it, and so you can't say that about a car, because like I said, a car would be something like an android. And when you talk about a man that has the choice, who is behind the vehicle, that's what you start talking about later. So later, he's driving the vehicle, right? Mm-hmm. Now, once again, he's steering that vehicle. So
Okay.
if the navigator tell you to steer left, and then you sit up there and you steer right, you finna turn something up, especially if it's something to the right. If he say steer left to get to your destination, but then you steer right, who made that choice and decision to turn right? That person did that was operating that vehicle.
Yeah, but see,
So once it,
this is the point, because you're talking about me steering the car left or right. Oh, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about I put my foot in the gas and the engine blows up. That's what I'm talking about. The engine is bad. It's not. I don't have to turn the car. I turn the car on. Boom, the engine goes. I'm like, what happened? He said when it came off the lot, it was perfect. But this car ain't perfect now. I'm like, well, I just turned the key. It's supposed to be. He said, well, it was perfect 5 minutes ago. It's your fault that it's not perfect now.
well, hold on. If according to the narrative, right? According to the narrative, listen. If you sitting there right and you put your foot on the gas and you don't take it out of neutral because like the instructions tell you to, and you rev that motor up, of course it's gonna blow up. Because number one is you didn't even follow my instructions, like I told you to. I told you to follow instructions according to the narrative. So what you did, you took your silly behind and you did otherwise. And so guess what happened? And see, we do this every day. Because look, if I tell you if you buy a PC and it gives you instructions on what to do, you're gonna make sure you read those instructions. And you're gonna follow those instructions. What happens when you don't follow those instructions? See, this everyday life.
Messes up.
Right. So you can't blame that on what took place. No, you didn't follow instructions. I bet next time you're going to follow instructions when you're given that. You do it on all these warning labels. So how come when God giving you a warning, you don't want to listen to that? You want to go your own route. And that's what messes us up.
Because you know what? Because the problem is that, and this is the key point, he shouldn't need to give me a warning because he created me perfect. What if I create the perfect car, what warning do I need to give you? The car is perfect. If I bake the perfect cake, what warning do I need to give you? It's a perfect cake. So the fact that we need a warning, the fact that that now we need a warning, shows that even God knew that something was wrong because this thing couldn't be perfect. He had to give me a warning. Now I do understand. I do sympathize with the fact that yes, men make bad choices, but the fact that they do make those bad choices is an indictment upon the perfection claim of God Himself, because if they were as perfect as God made them, then that perfection should stay, and they shouldn't be able to make bad choices. So maybe it's the way we're defining perfection, but I'm assuming if perfect beings only make imperfect things, or however it becomes imperfect, then it was number one, never perfect in the first place because it became imperfect, and number two, the thing that made it, that claim of perfection, also is challengeable because hey, it's still past the understanding right now is what has God made that can be classified as perfect? Just one thing. Maybe we're talking about heaven, but that's theoretical. I'm talking about one thing that we can say, okay, this is something that God has created that's perfect. Maybe heaven, maybe hell, maybe those are the two perfect things. But right now, from what I've read in the Bible, it doesn't. God only makes claims of imperfection. Everything that's created seems to be.
Well, I think once again, for instance, when you talk about the material world, what was made around him was definitely something that we see that was perfect. Now, according to when you start looking at the doctrine of man and what he is made up of, and because he had that choice, could have kept his situation that we see perfect? And what caused something to be imperfect within his material world? I think that, and I'm gonna keep striving to keep saying it, it's his choice. And see, when you look at the doctrine of man, is that God knew already that he gave man that option of choice. Now he could have created man as an android, but everything that we see physically around Adam was perfect. Everything that we see, his whole surroundings was perfect. Everything. The only thing that we see that caused him to cause him something to manifest into this world, that cause in the material world, that cause what we see, the struggles of life or problems or thorns and thistles, was based upon his choice. So I think I'm gonna keep putting it right there. Physically, the material world that we see, Adam had a great world. Spiritually, when you start seeing where his world began to be physically damaged, is because of his thought, because of what he wanted to do. That's what causes him to be that. And like I say, Adam had the ability to continue in that perfection, but Adam did not do that. He strove otherwise. So I think that ultimately God is really the determining factor. Is that God is giving man free choice. And when you say it's really based upon obedience. He said, if thou will be obedient, then thou should eat the good of the land. So we see that perfection, we see, is an ongoing everyday thing. In order for a person to prove his perfection, if man is to prove that perfection, he need to walk in the obedience of God. And I don't think that Adam did that. You know what I'm saying? I think he made a choice and decision to walk otherwise, and God gave him that choice. And so really it's within that being. If God wanted to create an android, he could have done that. He could have done that. But God did not do that. He created the being with the option to be in the to be, you know, with the option to be like God in being perfect and continue in that.
There's one thing that
but he didn't do that.
There's one thing that you've kept saying about this choice, and you've made the point multiple times. But like I've been conceding the choice point, but that's a point of actually contention too. And the reason why it's a point of contention is that if God sets up a scenario, number one, he created these beings perfect, as we've agreed to. He's created these beings perfect. He puts these beings in the Garden of Eden. Now, he knows for 100% certainty, no doubt about it, it's going to happen, that Adam is going to fall and billions are going to go to hell. He knows that's going to happen for a fact, no doubt about it. He knows that if I'm going to go to hell or not. That's what God knows. So he put that tree there. He put Adam there, knowing for 100% certain he was going to eat that Adam and fall, this perfect being. So how is that not God's fault? When he knew ahead of time that, yes, I'm going to put this tree here, Adam's going to eat for it, billions of souls are going to die.
Well, see, that's the problem with that, because when you look at it, he knew that it was possible. In other words, Adam still had a choice. He chose that. God knew that it was possible.
Just a point of clarification. God didn't know it was possible. God knew it was going to happen. We're not talking about possibility. He knew it was going to happen 100%. There was no other way it could have been. God knew it was going to happen 100%. We're not talking about possibility. God knew Adam was going to eat from that tree. Eve was going to do what she did, and they were going to go to hell full show. He knew that was going to happen full show. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It wasn't like he was saying, this is something possible that may happen. God was like, no, this shit is going down. This is what's happening. So
actually, God knows reality as is, and so if God has put in man to have choice, God knows. If man has not made that choice yet, God knows reality as is, and reality as is that there is possibilities in the nature of reality. There is possibilities, and so when God created it, God has, all things have not been settled, but there is a portion that must be determined by man. He is to determine the outcome of what he chooses to do. Like I told you before, if God says a man that built a house that don't count the cost thereof, then we see that what's the cost thereof? In other words, has God counted the cost? Definitely. So he knew that it was possible. And so when we look at it, all things are not fully settled. Because why? Because God has given man the choice and the option to determine his faith. And so when we look at it, if something has not been determined yet, or hasn't been settled yet, because that man has not chosen, then really we need to change on how we view it, because God has given us that option. And so we look at, if he's given us that option, he knows, and he has anticipated, he knows what is possible. It's just, it hasn't been decided yet. It's for you to decide. It must be put into actuality. And so what I'm saying is that when you look at it overall as an individual, when you look at it, we have that determining factor in whether we're going to go left or whether we're going to go right. And God has given us that very option to do so.
Well, I got to disagree with you with that, man. When Adam was created, he was put in that thing. He didn't have a choice. He didn't have a choice to say, you know what, I'm not going to eat from this tree of life. We're going to live in this garden forever. He didn't have that choice, because God knew by putting that tree there and putting Adam there with Eve. God knew with 100% certainty Adam is going to eat from that tree, and they were going to get kicked out of the Garden of Eden. He was just counting down the time. He was like, all right, I'm going to put the tree here, I'm going to put Adam here, and they're going to eat, and billions of, I'm going to have the Jesus thing come happen, and all that stuff is going to happen. He knew that was in the plan. It wasn't like. Let
me ask you a question.
Let me finish. This wasn't a I don't want to make it. I don't want the people out there to think this was like some possibility where he's rolling dice and was like, this is possible. No. He's like, this is happening. So and I don't think anybody would say Adam had a choice that he couldn't eat from the apple, just like Judas didn't have a choice not to betray Jesus. If he didn't do that, then so he had no choice. That had to happen, just like Adam had to happen, because God said this was going to happen, and it happened. So with that said, what choice did Adam actually have?
Let me ask you this. Would you agree?
Hold on. I just want to ask you this one question. Could he have chosen not to eat the apple? Could Adam have made that choice?
Yes, he could have. That was his choice. God had already, when God drafted the plan in the beginning, God knew that man he can choose otherwise. But I want to ask you this question.
Okay.
Does life consist of possibilities?
Yes. Yes, it does.
It's a web of possibilities, right?
Yes.
So if you say that this is for certain that this is going to happen, right?
Yes.
Now, if it is for certain that it's going to happen, why would God give him the choice? That would show that God is giving him showing that the nature consists of possibilities. The nature of reality consists of possibilities. So God's foreknowledge is really cohesive with the nature of reality. So God knows that the future consists of possibilities partially. He knows that. Now, are there certain things that are certain? Definitely, there are certain things that are certain, but there are things that are partial. Why? Because we see that there is man that we see that has the option, and we see that he is the determining factor of the outcome of those things that we see. Now, what's certain is that God has set some things up that's certain on how the world is going to be ran, from the ending to the beginning of man's dispensation. But when we look at it overall, we look at there are some things that man play a role in too, just as well. His cooperation. This is why it says he will rule and reign with God. Well, in order for him to rule and reign with God, he has to be cooperative. So if God gives man the choice, and he gives them that choice, there are certain things by God that we see that God has not, has chosen not to look at, but give man has chosen not to know, in a sense, but has given man that option to choose, because it has not yet been decided yet. In other words, there's things that has not yet been decided yet. And so if it's not yet been decided yet, it's because you have not yet decided it yet. And so God does not determine all future events. Some things are left, some things are partially there because of the choice of man. So that's how I view it. I don't view it on how we see how everybody look at it, because when we look at God says that I may know, he says that I may know, or certain things like that. There's a dispensation there. There's a stewardship there. So God is working in and out of man, different tests that he's doing for man to, be made and fixed in a certain way, so that he will overcome and won't have no future where he won't be reprobate, or no future malfunctions, basically. So he undergoes several tests to work things in him.
But G-Con, you made this point, and before you get the last word on this. This is because so we can move on just to our last topic before we close. But
yeah, because it's about that time.
Yes,
yeah.
But the one thing I just want to make an observation. I disagree with you fundamentally on the fact that you say God is living in a world of possibilities. I absolutely reject it. I think God is an absolutism.
The world consists of partially possibilities.
But just let me finish. Let me just finish with this. Let me go at this point. I think God is living in a world of absolutes. God knows for a fact what's going to happen. If the God of the Bible is true, he doesn't live in a world where he's saying something is possible. He's saying this is what's going to happen. Right. It's going to happen tomorrow, next week. God isn't a God of a possibility. He's a God of absolutes. And if he's a God of absolutes, then you'd have to admit Adam had no choice, because he absolutely knew what was going to happen. There was no possibility of Adam not doing there was no possibility of Jesus not dying on the cross. There was no possibility of us not having this conversation, because God knew it was going to happen. And just like whatever you say next on this mic, on your microphone, if you can say something that's possible, that God didn't know was going to be said, then you'd prove my point. Because everything you're going to be saying right now, God not only knows you're going to say it, but he's compelled you to say it. And so whatever you're saying and whatever I'm saying is compelled by God. So you don't have a choice, just like I don't have a choice. If Christian religion is true, whatever you're saying next is compelled to say because God knows you're going to say it. So now speak your compelled speech, because that's what's going to happen if what you're saying is true.
Right. So when you look at the Bible actually shows that there's things that could happen and there's things that could not happen. In other words, the future consists of things that may or may not happen. That's what the Bible says. When you look at it, definitely. When you look at
because I got some verses to give you too.
Okay, cool. When you look at one of the verses, you look at this is Ezekiel 18.
Okay.
Look what it says.
Ezekiel 18.
It says
hold on, let me put it on the screen so everybody can see it too.
This is Ezekiel 18.
We got to keep it in context.
Okay, where are we at? This is
Ezekiel 18.
I'm sorry, not Ezekiel 18. This is Jeremiah 18. I'm sorry, Jeremiah 18.
Okay.
Verse what?
Just go to verse verse 8. Let's start at verse 6.
Hold on. I want to start at 6.
Okay, so it's verse 6. It says, "O house of it."
Just give me 1 second. I'm just gonna put it up on the screen so the viewers can see what you're reading. I'm sorry.
Yeah, let's get everybody to see it so everybody can see what we're talking about.
Yeah. Just give me 1 second. So we're gonna start at Jeremiah 6. You want to start at 6, right? Jeremiah 6.
Yes.
All right.
So it says,
hold on.
And what instant?
I'm sorry. I'm just literally pulling it up right now. Sorry. Just give me 1 second.
Did you kill the feed?
No. The feed is on. Why?
Oh, okay. I just said offline. Okay, never mind. Go ahead. You good?
Oh, the feed's offline?
No, I realized it was a lapse. Go ahead. You good.
Now you threw me off. Hold on. Let me just put this up.
In the meantime, we would like to thank one of our sponsors.
Sorry about the wait,
Cocoa Shea Butter.
Fucking drag.
What's going on? What happened, man?
No.
I looked on my screen and it said stream offline, but it was it wasn't keeping up with the refresh, so it was a small lapse and my screen stuck on that. So I thought we went offline. So.
Go ahead. We're good now. Go ahead. Jeremiah
18, 6-8, man.
18.
All right, so it says, "O house of Israel, cannot I do with you as this powder, saith the Lord? Behold, as the clay is in the potter's hand, so are ye in my hand, O house of Israel. At what instant I shall speak concerning the nation, and concerning the kingdom, to pluck up and to pull down and to destroy it." Look at it. "If that nation against whom I pronounce turn from their evil." So he's pronounced evil on them. But look what it says. "If that nation against whom I pronounce turn from evil, I will repent of the evil that I thought to do unto them." It says, "And at what instant shall I speak concerning the nation and concerning a kingdom to build and to plant it? If it do evil in my sight, that it obey not my voice, then I will repent of the good wherewith I said I would benefit them." So when you look at this text, what is this text saying? This text saying that all future events must not be determined, and that God can change a situation based upon what choice a man made. So if God pronounced,
go ahead, G-Con. I want to say
if God pronounced something on you, right? The conjunctional right there is if. If that person changed their ways, then God could change what he pronounced on you. That means that all future events are not settled. And that means that there is a contingency plan there. And it's based upon what man's choice is. And so when we look at it, that's what this is saying.
Go ahead.
You know
Em.
what, though, G-Con? I know this was a good discussion y'all had. This is one of my discussions. But those two verses doesn't abrogate what the Bible says about the omniscience and omnipotence of God. I mean, it doesn't abrogate that, because all through the Bible and the Torah, you can see what God said, if something, and he even said himself, he would repent of the evil. Even David made him repent of certain things he wanted to do. So I mean, the Bible itself, the verses, using one verse to try to prove the other verses is it's an ambiguous thing to do with the Bible, because we know a lot of these things are contradictory. But the Bible itself, the theology that Christianity believes, they believe that God is a all-knowing being. All-knowing, period, means all-knowing. It means that even in this clause you just used in Jeremiah 6-8, what the nation that he's speaking about and what he's prophesied in Jeremiah, he already knows if this nation, this is the point about him being omniscient. Either you're going to believe your God is omniscient or he's not. He already knows what this nation is going to do. Also, when we talk about the Hebrew clause and if, a lot of these if that you see in the Bible, I think it's like 600 and some ifs in the Bible. A lot of time when you see these ifs, these are not actually open verbal cases, meaning they're not futuristic. So in other words, God, going on your narrative, what you believe about God, he already knows things is going to happen. He knows this country is going to, I think this is what Nate has been trying to say. He knows what he's going to do, or what this country is going to do. Do you believe he's not going to know what he's going to do? Like I said, there's no possibilities with the God you believe in. I think that's the major point.
Well, I think that it just showed, if he's saying if, that is a possibility. In other words, if you got choice.
No,
when you got.
But then I can go to Psalm 139. I can go. I can show you, like, and I don't want to keep going because it's late.
Hold on.
Cut off. What's up, Drag?
Go ahead and let G-Con finish. I think he was about to get to something real quick.
Okay, go ahead, G-Con.
Okay, for instance, when you deal with the Job thing, right? I mean, not the Job, the Jonah thing. Jonah was told to do something, and Jonah was told to go talk to Nineveh. Now, Jonah was told to go talk to Nineveh, and when he went, and he didn't want to do that. But when he went, he said that it may be that Nineveh may repent. And so it was based upon Jonah going to go talk to them. And if they repented, God will change what he said that he would do, because he said he was going to overthrow it in a certain amount of days. And so what we see is that there's a choice there that is made. And so we see all through the Bible it's saying choose life or death, choose life or death. And so the nature of reality, it consists of possibilities. It consists of a web of possibilities. And so God has anticipated them all, but at the same, God has anticipated all of them. In other words, he knows how to work all of those possibilities.
He knows how to work them. You sound like your God.
He has all intelligence.
I mean, but you're making it sound like your God is actually the Matrix guy on Matrix who gave Neo all these particular. That's what exactly you're making this God sound like. In other words, this God who created this world, who created all these ideas, he knows all the possibilities and he knows how to work them, just in case this person choose A or just in case he choose B. See, that's contradictory to your.
He's a smart guy.
Yeah, but
that's what omniscient means. All intelligence.
Listen what I'm saying. But no, it means all knowledge, all intelligence. But it makes no sense, G-Con. It's illogical, because if we go back to the story of Adam, then let's just go back to that, because you're using these verses. Really, these verses are out of context. I just don't have time to really show you that. But let's just go back to what y'all was first talking about, the beginning of this so-called Adam. Adam bringing sin into the world. You said that Adam was made and he was given these choices. And you said that this God, he made Adam perfect, but it was a possibility of iniquity to get into Adam. But this is the thing, though, and this is the real illogical, silly part about your book. And I think your Christian scholars, they don't overlook it, but they don't talk about it. If God made this Adam, and obviously he's all love, right? You believe your God is omnibenevolent. He obviously wanted Adam to make the right choice. Do you agree with that, G-Con?
Yes, he commanded him. So, I agree.
Okay. So he wanted him to make the right choice, but he didn't make it. He didn't make it possible at all for him to make the right choice, because he created these people without any life experiences in a garden with a serpent already there. already there. A nakash in the Hebrew was already there. The Hebrew term for nakash means a higher being, an intellectual being. So you're telling me he created this Adam and Eve that he loved, that this all loving God loved them, but he put them in a garden with 2 trees that he couldn't. He didn't even have to put the 2 trees there. But he.
So did he make it possible, or did he not make it possible?
Did he make what possible?
You said he didn't make it possible. Did he make it possible that he could choose life?
Yeah, yes. He actually gave them death because he knew they was going to choose that. And the point I'm making.
Well, did he make it possible though?
Yeah, he made
according to the net.
Listen, G-Con, I'm answering your question. He exactly made it possible for them to lose because he put a serpent in the garden with them. He didn't even warn them. Did he warn them about the serpent, G-Con?
Yes, he warned them. He told them to keep. He told them to keep the garden. When you look at that word in the Hebrew, it means to keep, be circumspect.
Did he tell them that there was a serpent that would try to beguile them? Did he tell them that anywhere in the Bible?
You look in the Hebrew, it says he tells them to keep.
No, sir, brother.
He told them to guard the garden. Well, hold on.
That does not.
Well, listen, brother. Let me ask you a question. When Adam sinned, did the cherubims come and keep the way of the tree of life after that?
And why did they do that?
Because really, Adam was supposed to be keeping that way, and he didn't keep that way.
You know what? I'm glad you said something. Well, that's not biblical. You just added stuff.
That is biblical. That he was the keeper of that garden. If somebody listen,
there's nowhere in the Bible where it says that. Now hold up. Now.
Well, all right, go ahead, brother.
That's what you're assuming. That's what you're assuming. This does not.
That's what the text says.
No, the text does not say that.
God told Adam to keep the garden, right? Did he or did he not?
He did tell him to keep the garden.
So if Adam to keep the garden,
G-Con. Listen what you're saying. You're getting emotional. How you gonna tell them to keep a garden but tell them to stay away from 2 trees? That means that they didn't have full charge.
He didn't say 2 trees.
Hold on, what?
He said stay away from one. He said do not eat from 1 tree.
That was 2 trees in the garden that he put.
Right. You said he told him to stay away from 2 trees. He didn't tell. He said
listen. No reason to be analytical. What I'm saying, you're wrong about what you said. He did not get you. Don't have charge of a garden if you have to stay away from certain things in a garden. That means that these particular trees, he put them inside of a place, told him to keep a garden, but stay away from this. That makes no sense. It's a lot.
Well, hold on, brother. If I tell, listen, hold on, brother, listen, because you're not making any sense. If you at your job and I make you a manager, what are you talking about?
My job. We talking about.
Well, well, okay, well, let's look at it. Let's look at it.
Examples you're making. You're making stupid examples. Let's talk
No,
about.
I'm not. Listen, brother. If I make you an administration over something and I give you charge over something and I say you're going to rule and reign with me because that's what it says, you're going to rule, you're going to have dominion with me. If you get that dominion, I leave you charge over something. How is it that you telling him that he doesn't have charge? In other words, it's my house anyways. I'm giving you charge over something. I can tell you, hey, look, this is the house, but here's the rules. And when I'm gone, make sure you don't mess with this over there. If I told you that and you go and mess with it, then that's on you then. I told you not to do that. But you said there was no possibilities, though. Was it possibilities or not?
See, there you go again, G-Con. You talking about, see, that's on you. See, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to divorce this perfect omniscient God. And it's very illogical. Now you said, and guess what? I'm going to use your example. Okay, you telling me this guy, you say, hey, man, you can kick it with this room too. But yet I tell you that you can kick it, that you can have this room too. But I don't tell you about this robber that's in the back room that's gonna come out and bust your head. You and your girlfriend in this room having sex, y'all eating all the food, whatever y'all doing. I don't tell you about this dude that's in here smarter than y'all. These people were so stupid, G-Con, they didn't even realize they were naked. They didn't know nothing about the world. But yet God didn't warn them about the serpent. So the serpent comes.
That's not what that's talking about.
But what is it talking about then? What is it talking about?
You're getting that wrong.
What is it talking about then?
In other words, it's not that they were stupid, they didn't know they was naked. It's just that they wasn't focused on self. That's what it's trying to convey. In other words, it's where you stop,
because now you're getting all into this metaphor stuff of what you think. Now I'm finna ask you something. That's your interpretation. Now I'm gonna ask you for evidence of that interpretation. Where did you get that evidence to
because when you look at the Bible, when it says it's conveying something, when it says so that their nakedness may not be discovered. In other words, what it's saying is these people, when we look at them, they wasn't focused on self, but when they became focused on self, they made themselves figs and apron trees. So they became to a state of self-conscious of their conscience. In other words, what happens is they became aware of themselves.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you.
That's what it teaches.
I'm gonna ask you again.
It's in the text.
You didn't. That's not in the text. You didn't answer
All
my
right, before we even go there, hold on, brother, so we can get back to the point. Let me ask you this. You said that it was not possible. Is that what you said?
No, I just told you that he made it possible for them only to fail, not to actually choose.
Wait, hold on. How is that? How is that, brother? How is that when it was also possible for them to do good?
How was it possible for them to do good when they didn't even understand who the serpent was? Not only that.
How didn't they understand?
Listen, let me finish. You answer the question. How was it possible for them to do good if your God already know that they was going to do wrong? Did he not know that they were going to make that choice?
He knew that it was possible. He anticipated.
Stop. Answer the question.
I just answered the question.
Did he know that Eve was going to be tricked by the?
He knew that it was possible, and he left it up to them to decide.
Left it up. Well, if he left it up to them, why was he so angry when he came back? Why would he?
Because.
Why? That doesn't make no sense.
Why, if I told you to do something you didn't do, you wouldn't be angry.
That's another stupid example. We're talking about an all loving. We're talking about an omnipotent.
If I told you to do something, you didn't do it, why wouldn't I be angry?
It makes no sense, G-Con. It makes no sense for intelligent people to sit up here and say that yes, my God knows all things before they're going to happen. As your Bible attests to, this is why Christian theology teaches that God is omniscient and omnibenevolent and omnipotent, all powerful. But then you turn around and you say, well, you know, Adam, and then I'm gonna tell you the other contradictory thing that you Christians believe. You say that Adam made the choice. Okay, let's just say that okay, Adam had his choice, and he made one of the possible choices. Let's just say that, right? Well, if that was the case, then why would Adam's choice, one man's choice, just kill everybody else's DNA? I mean, everybody up until now, 2018. We have to accept Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior. Why? Because Adam, that's like me making a choice in my house. Let me finish, G-Con. Because Adam, somebody we never met, he messed up and got tricked by his wife. So now all of our blood is tainted. So in other words, we have no choice now because we're automatic sinners because of what one person did. Which contradicts.
Wait, hold on, brother. That's like me making a choice in my household. And saying that it won't affect my household. How's that? That will affect my household. You know that. If you got kids and you make a choice in your household, would it affect your household?
That's not the same.
It is the same.
No, it's not the same. Because if you
how's it not, brother?
No, stop. That's not the same. Because the people that you're living in, you and your household, are in the same time period. Y'all in the same realm of reality. But according to your Bible, Adam has affected descendants thousands and thousands of years ago. So if you do something in your household in 2018, you telling me that's going to affect your descendants, whoever they may be, 10,000 years from now? That doesn't make sense.
Also, you telling me there's nothing that you can't do that won't affect you generationally?
No, not like that. No.
Nah, bro. Listen.
No.
Listen. Let me give an example. Let me give an example.
That is the worst generational curse in any book ever written. If Adam sinning and I got to pay and now I got to
well, let me give an example, bro. If Adam is attached to the material world, right? And if it says that the ground was cursed, it says the ground was cursed. It says when he put forth his hand to till the ground, it would not yield forth his full strength. Clearly, that will also affect other people who come into the world too. Why? Because every time somebody will work forth, God is dealing with man. God is not dealing with man. He's dealing with man on the entirety of.
Okay, so, but you still didn't answer my question. Okay, so you're gonna say what Adam did? You saying that it should affect all of us, but yet you say that man. When you talk about man, you're talking about plural. You're talking about all man of all generations. You believe that. I mean, I don't think this is fair. You're saying that all men. Since Adam, then we should carry the same yoke of sin. That means our free will is not there anyway, because that means
you descend from Adam, don't you?
Just like Romans say for all have sinned. What was that? Romans 6:23? For all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. Now, this means that we're actually bowled down with sin because of what one person did. Even matter of fact, Paul even says that. Paul even said because of what one man brought in, then we have this yoke upon us, which is really stupid. And really, it goes against the whole verses of the Bible because God also says, G-Con, I know you know this, but you know some Bible verses. It says, God says that what the fathers do, he would not charge the sons for. Have you ever read that, G-Con?
In Ezekiel 18, I believe.
It's all over. It's in Ezekiel 18. It's in, as a matter of fact, it's in
Deuteronomy.
It's in the Pentateuch. It's in Deuteronomy. It's in Deuteronomy.
He said he will only visit the iniquity on. He said he visit the iniquity. It says he visit the iniquity of the fathers on the children that hate him. That's what it says.
Okay. Well.
So in other words, this is what he's saying. So he says a good tree cannot bring forth good fruit. So when you look at, hold on, brother, let me finish. Hold on. So when you look at it, you asked me about Adam and his descendants. It's clear, bruh, that Adam ate or partook of from something and got some information that evidently this brother passed on to his children. And so with that, he brought into his world this type of duality of ups and downs. Whereas whether he only...
So let me ask you, you do believe that a physical Adam actually lived, what, 6,000 years ago? You actually believe that?
According to the narrative, that's what the Bible says, chromosome Y Adam, if you want to put it genetically.
No, chromosome Y Adam was not named by God. It was named by man. It's just...
Right, I'm just saying. It don't matter, but...
It's just like...
Well, that's not the argument, bro. The narrative is what this book is talking about.
I'm asking you a question. You didn't ask my... I asked you, do you believe in a Adam of the Bible that actually lived in some Garden of Eden that is about 6,000 or 7,000
years old? I believe in the Adam of the Bible, yes.
And so you reject all science of man being older than 6,000, 7,000 years old?
You said man being older than 6,000, 7,000 years old.
You believe that the human race just been here, what, 6,000 years?
Listen, the age of this ain't got nothing to do with it. I still believe that there was an Adam that existed.
No, it does got something to do with it because Adam gives us a timeline through self. So
you believe just like I believe.
Y'all can't keep escaping this. You can't.
You believe just like I believe, right?
Oh, stop! No, I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
Well, how you don't believe it? Listen, is everything absolute when it comes to science?
No, I didn't say that. Don't try to change it.
Well, if it's not absolute, then you believe like I believe. Then
answer the question. Nobody in science has ever said anything was absolute. That's what's so good about science.
Right. So if you gonna compare science, then you believe in two, then, right?
Let me teach you. There's no scientist in their right mind would tell you that they have absolute answers. Not one. From Stephen Hawking all the way back to Isaac Newton. We do what you call research. We have what you call peer review.
So can that research, can it change? Is that subject to change?
G-Con, let me finish, G-Con.
Go ahead, brother.
Thank you. Now I'll let you talk. We have what you call a scientific method in science. We don't try to play like we know everything in science. We don't do it. That's what religion does. Religion say we know that there was a God who created the universe. We know there was a God who created some Adam and Eve and brought sin into the world. It makes no sense.
So what happens when listen, so I'm asking you, is there in science a belief system?
What you mean a belief system? No, we don't deal with belief systems.
Okay, well, hold on. How is it? Listen.
We deal with science, we deal with hypotheses. We deal with theories.
What is a hypothesis, brother? What is that?
A hypothesis is an educated guess. It's a guesswork. And a hypothesis is nothing unless you can get some facts about it.
Well, hold on, brother. If you got a hypothesis, is that not a belief?
Okay, see, bro, you're making yourself look real bad. I'm gonna say this again. If you want to use a term, if you want to use a synonym, a belief with a hypothesis, that's okay. You can do that. But I want to say this to you, G-Con. In science, right? I hope you're listening to this. In science, a hypothesis is equal to a belief. And guess what? In science, we don't give a damn about hypothesis. Because
but I just said we all believe regardless, brother.
No, because you try to ask that question like you had something going. In science, hypotheses mean absolutely nothing until, because God, guess what? God is a hypothesis. Until you get some facts, that's when it becomes a theory. That's what we call a scientific theory.
But can that change though? In other words, if there's some things that's not absolute, we've seen that in the past some things have changed.
Why do you keep being stuck with the term absolute? You call
it absolute. This all I'm saying. Listen, EA, all I'm saying is this, brother, is that at some point of time, all of us got to believe somewhere. I
agree with that. But why do you have to believe as a grown man that fairies created the universe? And why do you have to believe and actually go against
Fairies?
science?
Well,
What is fairies?
hold on. We just. I don't mean to step in here, but this is about to go down a real bad road right here because I started hearing the word fairies, and so I know. And we 2 hours in, so as soon as you start hearing fairies,
hey, I gotta go, y'all, man. I gotta go, man. Y'all got me up past 11, man.
Yeah, man, I know you started going. I was like, shit. I'm putting in the chat, man. Yeah, I'm warm, so I'm like, hey, all
Well,
right.
listen, as fairness to our guests,
G-Con, my man, though, man. G-Con, my man. I like talking to G-Con. We gotta
Likewise, brother.
let me-
Likewise.
Hey, y'all know G-Con, my brother,
Yes.
though. Y'all already know that. Y'all already
In
know
all fairness, let's give the last word to G-Con before we sign off. So G-Con.
that. Yeah, G-Con
Go
got to
ahead.
get a last word. Go ahead, G-Con. Do your thing,
You
man.
got your last word.
All right, man. Once again, man, I appreciate y'all having me to come out, man. I definitely appreciate it. Like I say, I don't claim to know everything. You know, I believe. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm persuaded. And so, you know, I'm still learning. And so I'm not saying that I know everything about the nature of God. You know, I'm still learning those things. There remains some things that, you know, this questionable to me just as well. And so I don't claim to know all of those things, you know, but I just want to say that. So I'm always, you know, continue to learn, continue to step my game up. So if there's some things I need to be corrected on, I have no problem with that. You know, grace and peace to y'all. Appreciate y'all having me to come out. And, you know, with that being said, peace to you, brothers.
Peace, man.
Peace. This was a very good conversation. We went through a lot of good topics today too. Just FYI too, we forgot to mention that Luke Cage has been canceled. The
Oh, yeah.
black superhero of Harlem. So you know, another one bites the dust. But I don't know. Luke Cage.
Did they say what happened to my boy Luke Cage,
Well,
man?
this is what's going on. Just for those who don't
Bushmaster
know.
did him in, huh?
Finally, right? The Bushmaster. No, what's going on with my man Luke Cage and most of the Marvel characters now? Disney is launching its own streaming service. Now, what happens is Disney had a contract with Netflix that Netflix could show all the Disney movies. So if you go now to Netflix, you'll see all the Disney movies on Netflix. That stops in December this year because Disney is doing its own streaming service to compete with Netflix. So when they do that, that's obviously so now Netflix is taking all the Disney stuff off of its streaming services. So to destroy Luke Cage and this other thing, they just canceled it because nobody wants to reboot a canceled show. And they're doing the same thing with Daredevil. That's why you haven't heard anything about Daredevil and the other shows too. They're going to let them die out quick.
Oh, Daredevil canceled too?
No, they just gave it a season.
Daredevil is being canceled?
But they gave it a season 3, which is out now. But if you know, there's been no advertisement for it because they're trying to let all those shows die out.
Oh.
So they can send them back to Disney all fucked up.
Oh, okay.
Well, listen, guys, we appreciate everybody. Thank you. We just topped the 500 sub mark too on this show, so this is great. So we had half a G right now. I feel like a bad spades here. We got 5 and a possible. Now we need some more possibles now. So please share this video, share, like, and if there's some more Christians who want to come on and challenge some of our beliefs, we are happy to have you on. Imp start letting you know what happens. This guy's a beast, though. You come with Imp. You gotta come with your shit prepared. So we'll take on early challenges. And next week we got to get some science stuff too. We haven't touched on some science stuff in a long time, Drag. We gotta.
Yeah, well, I touch science stuff every goddamn day. So I
get you tired of it now and shit, right?
I know Drag's sick of that. Drag body's sick of it.
We gotta do some evolution or something because you know evolution is always a good hot topic.
Yeah, everybody always want to talk about evolution. I don't know why, but we can talk about it. You know, bring your retarded ass cousins so I can teach them something. That's fine.
Which one? Velko?
I tried teaching his ass for years, literally for years, and he ain't learning shit. So him and his little retarded.
But you know what, man? It's you know what I really want to if we're gonna talk about something, I want to talk about. I was trying to get what's the name in on this. I can't think of the guy's name. I forgot his damn name. To actually talk about strides has been made in abiogenesis. That's what I really want.
Oh, that's actually good.
Because evolution is not really the main. Well, it is a main focal point for certain people who deny it. But you talk about abiogenesis, like you know, how did life
is happening? Yeah, that's more research is being done in that avenue because
come from non-life. Yeah. Evolution is a fact. People debating evolution and going against evolution are dodo birds. You know, creationism, people like that. I mean, if you're going against evolution and actually, you know, speaking against biological evolution, you're just a dodo bird and you just don't want to know. But abiogenesis is what and I'd be glad. I just want to see what type of strides we have made in for us understanding how life started. Period.
Yeah.
Coming from non-life, you know.
Yeah, I would definitely love to have on a guest who's well versed, because that's a level of chemistry that's quite beyond me.
Yeah, we need to get somebody. I know we can get somebody that's really well versed in that biological field. I want to get somebody like that on the show. I really do.
Yeah,
Shit, I could talk to Doc Savage, but he's over in Switzerland.
Oh yeah, Doc Savage sharp. He's sharp on there.
The only thing with him, because he loved to come on, but the time zones with him. So let me see what I can do with Doc Savage, but we might have to have a backup with somebody with a pretty good background in that field. So yeah, we'll see.
Just look up some new people. Look up some new people who might want to come on. I'll do that tomorrow.
All right, sounds good to me.
All
I
right.
think folks will enjoy that.
Well, listen,
all right, cool. Yeah, that'd be a good subject.
Yo, close us out, Drag.
Hey, how about your boy? How about your boy, Drag?
Who?
R&Ra pretty kind of okay with that.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, let me see what he's doing, because every time I hit him up, he's always busy, because somebody was a name dropped me when they went and met him in London with DPR Jones. He's like, yeah, I got to get with Drag when I get back in the States. So I'm like, man, you get with me when you're not fucking busy.
Are we still streaming, man? I thought
we're still streaming. I was asking for Drag. Drag,
hey,
close
y'all
us
make
out,
sure
Drag.
y'all hit the like buttons, man. Y'all make sure y'all hit the like buttons. Appreciate that.
Let Drag close down the stream. Close it out, Drag.
All right, folks. Hey, y'all, thank you for joining us for yet another episode of Three Black Heathens. Please comment, like, subscribe, rate, all that good stuff. Share it. Beat us up behind closed doors. Bring us out in the fucking open and beat us up too. That's fine. We welcome that kind of shit. We ain't hiding nothing from nobody, and ain't none of us above nobody else except your greasy ass, ignorant ass grandma. But other than that, y'all, thank you for watching. Hope you maybe learned something. Maybe got some laughs. If y'all just come and watch for the side chat, that's fine too. We got something there, keep y'all entertained, a little chew toy. But I got to thank my brothers here, Emperor Atheist and Nate Broady. And y'all, see y'all next week.